Blessed Lord. What's up, guys? Garden season is here, man. Garden season is here. Shout out to all the new gardeners. Shout out to all the gardeners that out there getting ready, getting prepared. Shout out to each and every one of you. Shout out to all the people out there, man. Big up yourself. Blessing to all. Always try to be positive at all time. Your positive side dominate the negative side because we know there's a positive and a negative in each and every one of us, but is which one you allow to dominate. So focus on the positive and let the negative slide. Peace. Yes. So how you all doing, man? Today's a beautiful day. In my zone, today's a beautiful day to actually go out in the garden and do something. Today is a beautiful day. I know a lot of people is suffering from the cold weather, the freezing soil. I know some people maybe still going through the freezing soil, but a lot of people soil don't freeze. So now is the time to go out and walk around, especially on a beautiful sunny day for the new gardeners. On a beautiful sunny day, walk around and see where the sun shine the most. Walk around and see where the sun shine the most. Sometimes you could even walk around and look at the weeds them that growing up in your garden, and you might just identify a few plants that you didn't even know you have growing in your garden. Sometimes even in your container, you might see a few things popping up in your containers, and you don't even know is a plant that's you need. I really don't believe a lot of these plants just pop out. I don't know if when you guys do in your garden, I don't know if I don't know if sometimes it happened to me many times. It recently happened to me there with two fruit trees that I didn't even know exists in my garden. Two fruit trees was growing wild in an area and I didn't even know. But I saw one start producing flowers through the bushes. I saw the flowers from through the bushes, and that's when I recognized, wow, let me go check this out. When I go check them out, I realize one is a fruit tree. While I start cleaning it around, I realize the other one is, and you know what's crazy? Let me tell you what's crazy. I don't know if it's a, um, I don't know how the pear tree get there. I don't know how it get there. But to me, it is a mature pear tree because it's thick. So I don't know if one get there because we know seed fly around, we know board drop seeds, we know all these things. But I don't know if one the big one, I don't know, maybe it produced in the past, but because of the vines, you couldn't see anything. Because the vines wrap around the tree, all their leaves. So maybe you couldn't see nothing, and maybe it produced one or two, and maybe they fell on the ground and they germinate. Because there's two of them. There's a big one, and then there's a small one now start producing right sided. Too close for me to not believe it's a seed drop from the other one. But this is how nature operates. But what I'm saying is, now is the time. If I did wait another month to walk around, I would not see these plants. But because I'm doing it early, you recognizing plants. And if you do that, it might just works for you. You might see different plants growing in your garden that's loaded with benefit. You might be surprised the kind of benefit from these plants. So I don't know. I'm asking this question. Do you ever walking around your garden and see a plant, and the plant you saw just draw your attention? It's like the plants just draw your attention. It's like it just pull you, and all your focus is on this plant. Do that ever happen to you? It happened to me almost every year. I always get drawn to a plant. Like you be walking, you ain't studying nothing, you just going through your garden. And the next thing you realize, there's this plant, and this plant just pull your attention. Now we have the ability to find out what type of plant they are. So you must just do that. Get a whole book. You could get a whole book that gives you the pictures, and you might just see plants that you could identify. We also try to use our phone, but I'm not gonna say the phone is 100% correct, but sometimes it is correct, sometimes it's not. So we can't bank on them 100%. But when you see these plants, it's something. I don't care what, it's something pulling you towards these plants. It's something drawing you towards these plants. It's no way you just walking, minding your own business, and this plant just appear. And when the plant appear, all your focus get on this plant. It's like you want to know what is this plant. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that might be the plant just to help you or maybe help somebody you know. But because the thing is, man, we drift so far away from reality. When you see these things, people just get mad. But just look at it for yourself and you're gonna see. We drift so far away from nature and truth. We get a lot of mix up. Not everything we get some truth, some lies. We get a lot of twisted situations. So, and these are things we grow up learning from, and then we grow up believing in a lot of things that we don't even know if it's actually true. Or some of it may be true, some of it may be false. But some of us, we just accept everything without, thinking and analyzing for ourselves. So, but when you check it out, man, there's no way you walking, minding your business, balance. Hey, what's up? What's up? Yes, observe law, nature. Nature teaches a lot. Oh, yes, nature teaches a lot. Definitely. I agree with that. Yes. So when we, anyhow, I pay attention to this. Guys, listen me, man. We not entwined with nature the way we should. And nature teaches us a whole lot. Nature is not, nature is a teacher. Nature is a teacher. Sorry for that, guys. Nature teaches us. We learn so much from the plants. We learn so much from the air. We learn so much from the wind. What do you learn from the air? You see, these are things we supposed to know without anyone tell us. Without anyone tell you. Without the air, you yourself know you need air. Without anyone tell you, you need fresh air. You might know the name, like how they say oxygen, but at the end of the day, you need fresh air to survive. You know that if you're in a room and you're not getting fresh air, that air you need, you could pass, you could fall out. How you could fall out? Because you're not getting that air you need. So all these things nature already teaches us. Food, we know we need food. No one have to tell you you need food. From the time a baby born, he know when to string on their mom for food. He know when to use the bathroom. It's a lot of things we know naturally, but it was taken away with different teaching. It's something you should know naturally. No one shouldn't have to teach you and tell you. It's natural. So there's a middleman. This is what's going on. No. The middle. There's a third. Instead of we look direct, there's a third, a midi, a third. That's missing. Trust me. That third is creating problem. You need direct connection. Like for instance, you have a generator or you have electricity. You plug it in direct and it runs straight to your machine, whatever you're using. This is really important. The mediator is blocking the direct connection. Don't think about it. Let me see. Hey Maria Bees, how you doing? Greetings, Professor Planter Garden TV. I'm here listening and believe when a person is drawn to nature, they are nurturing person and they want everybody to recognize that as we should. Yes, definitely. I agree with that. Yes, that is true, Maria Bees. That is true. Because when you understand certain things and you understand how natural it is and how real it is and how so many people has been has been taken away from that journey, that direct connection. It's because you know yes, you're right. You know, once you connected with nature, nature reveals so much. It teaches you so much, so much, so much. You know what? When you grow up a certain way, the teaching, when you grow up a certain way, the different type of teaching, when you find the truth, sometimes it become scary to you. You know why it's scary to you? Because of the teaching, all the teaching you get growing up from Sunday school, your mama, your grandpa, your uncle, everybody had a plate. in your growing up. And most of the time, you wasn't even thinking. It's mostly what you thought. This is what you eat. This is how you do it. This is how we do this. This is how you wash the dishes. This is how you've been taught everything. You didn't have the opportunity to think and figure things out, which you can. Believe it or not, it might take you a longer time, it might take you a longer period of time, but you will figure it out. Believe it or not, you will figure it out. Yes, as a baby growing up, you need help. You're gonna need lift up, you're gonna need fed, but one thing you know when you're hungry. As a baby, 1 day old, out of their mother womb, they know when to use the bathroom. They know when they need milk, food, and they know when to urinate, and they know when to use do number two. Hey Jim Mama, how you doing? Thank you for being here. You know, you know, they, as a baby, you know these things. So all these things comes natural. Yes, appreciate that, sis. Thank you. Yes, all these things come natural. But over the years, man, we've been taught so much things we've been taught over the years. I'm not gonna say we never taught, I'm not gonna sit here and say that we didn't learn very important, valuable. Yes, we did. We did learn some valuable lesson growing up in our lifetime, from our mother, father, uncle, the people around us. And in them time, in the older time, compared to today, there was like a community. Everybody was, if you go down, everybody was looking out for each other. Children, like for instance, your children go down the road, there's people gonna be looking out. There's people gonna make sure that if they see they do anything wrong, they gonna tell your mom. So there was always eyes. You see today how it's camera everywhere now. It used to be eyes. The community look out for everyone. So it was like safe. Nobody trouble you. Yes, in them time you might get in a little argument, but as soon as the argument done, you friends again because everybody was like family. And them time was valuable times. But in them time also we get some misleading information as well. As well, we have some in this is why we have to sit down and let me see. Yes, Jim Mama say you outside, you have exactly Jim Mama. Exactly. 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 That is true. That's how it used to be. And it was amazing. Even though you as a child in them time, you didn't like it because you seen everything they running and tell your parents. But it was a you didn't like it, but some reason or the other, it was a good idea because it bring us a stable us. It make we understand, okay, Miss Orgy is there looking. Remember, Miss Orgy always by her window watching. So it just like today when you're gonna say, well, okay, there's camera everywhere. There's cameras everywhere. So you have to be more cautious. That's how it used to be in them time. And it was so amazing. But we learned some valuable lessons from our parents. Yes. and our uncle, our, different people. But there's certain things still we have to look into and analyze, because we got to remember how our parents was taught a lot of things, our grandparents, our great grandparents. We got to remember how they gather a lot of information, right? A lot of things was taught to them, not their experience. What I used to like to I used to like to sit down with the older folks. I used to love to sit down with the older folks. And when I sit down with the older folks, what used to happen? The older folks used to sit down, and some of them, not all of them, I don't know. I believe some of them didn't want to have this conversation of the things they went through. So I don't think they used to want to have the conversation. But then you have some older people, experience and trial. And yes, yes, yes. Yep, yep, yes, you're right. Some of them used to sit down and they will tell you so much. What I used to like to hear they talk about is the experience, because I believe in experience than what someone told you and tell you, oh, you got to believe it. I believe in experience. So when they tell you what the experience and how it used to be, and when they do this is the result. These are the things I used to like to listen. And I used to enjoy them. Why I used to enjoy them? Because they was the teacher. They was our teacher. We know as the student was the one to sit down and listen and analyze and see what makes sense while we're growing. While we're growing, while we're experiencing, we learn. Because, I remember little and things your parents tell you. There's a time in your life when you come and see it for yourself. There's time in life when you come and you could avoid certain things because of what from their experience, the experience that they learn, and they told you. This is why it's good for parents to speak to their children, even though sometimes they might feel like they're not listening. Sometimes they're listening, they're just not ready to apply it. But it's there. So sometimes when you listen, when your parents give you certain information, in your journey, you could avoid it because of what they experience. You could avoid that situation. Sometimes we ignore, even though they tell us their experience, we ignore it, and then we just go ahead and then we fall into a situation. So our parents had their experience and they teach us. And that's why it's important now for us to do the same. Teach them, whether we believe they're listening or not, or at least we know we teach them something. At least we know we tell them. So it's up to them now. But experience is a hell of a thing. And we must try to learn from our experience, because not everything we hear out there is correct. A lot of this is a little bit of truth, a little bit of lies. So they twisted. So if you hear it, you might hear few words that you're familiar with, and then you believe because of the few words. But sometimes we got to figure stuff out. Like, for instance, I'll come and I'll talk about gardening. But it's my experience. You know, you might want to try. So you try and you see if it works in your zone or you see if it works for you. If it at least you try. So when you experience, then you know, all right, this ain't no guess anymore. This is something I experience. When you hear me talk about growing food, is my experience. When you hear me talk about how I do certain things, is my experience. I already try it already and I already see the result. After I see the result, then I come and speak about it because I experience it. I don't really like to speak of for things that I've heard. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you could catch yourself putting that information out there that's not even correct. And you see what I'm saying? So you want to clarify, verify, conform before you really put it out there. You know what I'm saying? Jim Mama say that's why I only talk about what grow because I'm still new ways of God. There's still no, definitely. I myself even still learning. I will never say I know everything I've learned, but the more you learn, the more you experience, the more you see, and you could never, believe it or not, you could never know everything because there's so much to learn. It's so much about each plant. It's so much about different plants and what they prefer. Some of them prefer a certain like certain plants. They prefer they prefer the the soil that drain. Like for instance, when you water the soil, right? Sometimes when you water the soil, the water just run right through. The water just run right through. And some of them love the water to be there. You got to know the difference. You see what I'm saying? So it's so much plant you cannot know everything about these plants. But while you doing it, while you growing them, you learning. Every year you should learn something new. Every year you should figure out something different. If you're growing a plant every year, you're supposed to learn something from that plant every year because there's something to learn every year from that plant every season. Number one, like these days, right? When we notice happening these days, change of climate, the temperature, we notice that happening these days. So now this come with adjustment. You see? So now you accustomed grow your pepper a certain way and bring them out a certain time. But because of the temperate climate change and these things, you have to adjust. So now you got to start thinking and learning again because of the changes. So you could never learn because you could never finish learning because it's so much to learn. When the temperature change, big adjustment. That's big adjustment because now certain plants you got to bring them out later than you used to. Okay, let me see. I thought. Let me see. I thought I learned enough and was not successful because I didn't make the time to mature and I lost a bang of seed. I'm still learning and experiencing it all. Yes, yes. Never you you could get better at what you do. But in this thing, in gardening, you never finish lawn because it's so much, like I know I was mentioning, it's so much changes happen from time to time. So you always got to adjust. You always got to adjust. The only thing is getting better and understand more. Like, for instance, when you're dealing with seedlings, when you're dealing with seed and seedlings, that's another challenging area right there. And even though I sow my own seed for so long, I still meet my challenging. Yes, I have some very successful time, but I still meet my challenging with with certain seedlings. Like, for instance, when you set in a seedling for the first time, you have to learn about this plant in order to be successful. You have to learn. So the thing is you could sow a seed for the first time, and you whatever you do just works. No, you got to remember what you did. You got to remember what you did, how these plants were successful, where you had them, what type of light they was receiving, how much water you give them. All these things you have to remember. So the following year you repeat the same method. And by you repeating the same method, you learn, you realize, wow, this is it. Because when you talk about bell pepper seedlings, right? Okra seedlings, tomato seedlings, these type of seedlings, I'm very successful with these type of seedlings. Cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, these type of seedlings, very successful in them. But it wasn't always like that. There was a time when I used to struggle because I was learning. I was still learning. I'm still learning today. I was learning. And now I reached to a point now where I understand the type of soil they like. I understand. I understand how much water I should give. I understand how much times a week I should give water. So once you understand these things, it's become easier for you. But that doesn't mean you stop learning. You still learning, but you learning more about this plant. So never believe you know everything, and never believe you know enough. Because this season you could have spring could start early this season. The weather could start to change up, and like in March, you could start getting beautiful weather in March, April. The cold weather gone, depending on your zone. And then there's a next time. There's a following year when March it's still cold. So now you got to transfer yourself into out of March into April. So it's too much to learn for anyone to say they know everything in this thing. It's too much to learn. One person cannot learn everything because dealing with plants, information spit out every day, every year. Information spit out and reveal about plants every day, every year. Look, for instance, I'm trying fruit trees, and what I'm also trying to do, I'm trying to do grafting. Yes. I'm actually learning about grafting right now. And okay, Jim Mama say grafting is a very rewarding experience. Yes, yes, I agree with that, Jim Mama. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So agree with that. Grafting is a real serious experience. And when you the thing growing is one thing. Taking the plant and put it in the soil is one thing. But grafting is another. Grafting is a skill, honestly. And I don't think and what you got to remember as when grafting, always remember not every one you do you're gonna be successful. Just remember that. Because if you don't remember that, what's gonna happen if it fail, you're gonna be upset and you might want to do it again. So always remember grafting is not something that it might just catch every time. But I think it's a skill. I really do. I think able to spare that doormat and splice and cut it into another plant and able to see that limb start to produce leaf and also start producing fruits, it's a beautiful sight. It's a beautiful sight. I have some of them now that I some graphs that I try and I'm actually waiting on them right now to see the result. But nothing wrong if you try. And the good thing about it is too, guys. Let me tell you about small space. You know, when we have small space, we we might want to have a lot of fruit trees, right? We might want to have a lot of fruit trees, but our space is small. This is where grafting come in. You could have three fruit trees, three different fruit trees growing in one fruit tree. You could graft three different fruit tree in one fruit tree. You see? Or you could graft three different type of peach in one fruit tree. So you have four peach, different peach growing in one plant. You could do it with the same plum. So instead of you have a bunch of fruit trees just lying around, you could have four in one. This is really, you know what I'm saying? And these are things I'm paying attention to. These are things I'm looking into, and these are things I'm learning. So this is what I'm saying. Learning, you could never finish learning in this thing. It's too much for you, too much to learn that you feel you know everything. No, you reach to a point where you understand on a certain level. You understand certain things because you've been growing them over and over, so you understand. But you still learning at the same time. You mama say, I was watching a documentary about a guy who's create 40 fruit trees. Wow, on one tree. And amongst because they stone fruit. Okay, let me see. Because they stone fruit. 40 fruit trees. Ah, wow. I would love to see that. I will love to see that. That's something I will love to see. 40 fruit trees from one tree. And I'm talking before. But you see, that's a really, really good idea. Honestly, honestly. I have the truth is I have an apple tree right now that 3 years ago, it produced flowers, peach, resistant, plum, and almond, all on. Wow, that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to do now, Jim Mama. I'm getting into that field right now. Learning to graph. I'm I'm getting into that right now. Yes, that's excited though to see one tree with all these different fruits on it. Mm. I have a apple tree. It produced flowers twice, and then 2 years after, it didn't produce nothing. My goal this year is if it didn't produce anything, I'm cutting that tree down and I'm doing the same thing we now talking about, Jimama. I'm bringing it down. It was beautiful in blooms, all I can imagine. I can imagine that color. Ooh, all them beautiful flowers. I can imagine the beauty of that tree. But I think I'm gonna be trying a lot of that. So, like I was now saying, if the apple tree ain't produce anything this year, and it's a nice, beautiful apple tree, anything this year, I'm cutting it down really low and I'm graphing it with different variety of apple tree and peach tree. I'm gonna be trying. I'm definitely gonna be trying because if you don't try, you will never know. And these are skills I think people should pay attention to and try to learn. You see what I'm saying? Because just like you see what Dream Mama said there, the guy have so much things on one tree. So if now you have a small space, instead of you got to have 10, 15 trees in different area growing, you could have all of them on one. So it's actually kind of making sense. And I think so. I'm listen me. I'm now learning. Yes, indeed. It's a Bunty Jordan. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. I'm I'm now learning about grafting. I I cannot give too much information on grafting until I see my grafting catch. So I'm not gonna be. I only could tell you. I think it's a skill you should learn and try to acquire, but I cannot give information about grafting as yet. When my grafting catch and I see the pushing leaf, that's when I could start share my journey of grafting. I like I like to see things before I speak about it. If I try it and I see it works, then I can come and say, guys, this is a journey and you should, but I cannot speak on it until I see the progress. But I do think it's a journey you should try. I think it's a journey everyone should try. It's not that as far as for what I see, it's not that hard. But the goal is you wouldn't know if it hard until you try and when it catch. When it catch, that's where the life begin. Yes. But don't ever believe every graph you do gonna catch. Just like so you understand because if you go with that mindset, you're gonna give up. Yes, you go with a positive mindset and say, yes, it's gonna catch. But if it ain't catch, Don't be disappointed because a lot of people get disappointed by failure. And it's not failure, it's something you try, but it just didn't work. That doesn't mean you fail. What it means for you to try again. Don't just come like like you try something. Like for instance, you set some seed for the first time and they did not germinate. And you just give up. Oh, I'm not setting these seed again because I set them and they did not germinate. That's not cool. Maybe the seed wasn't good. So what you do, you try again. You don't give up that easy, man. Don't give up that easy. You try again. And when you try, you might just be successful. Sometimes in life, and it's just like life. You apply for a job, they turn you down, and you give up. Let me ask you. Let me ask you guys something. You ever applied for a job before and get turned down, and you by one person, and you go back, meet a different person, and they hire you? These things happen. These things happen because sometimes the person who you ask might just don't like you, or maybe they might have a friend they want to bring, so they're gonna tell, no, we're not hiring. Just go back a next time. You might meet a different person, and the different person might be the one to say, come, yes, we need people. So sometimes in life is not about giving up. If you climb in a mountain and you realize that hill is too high for you, figure out a different route. Figure out a different route to get up there. It doesn't matter how you get up on that mountain once you get up there. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about trying, not giving up. The same thing goes with gardening. The same thing goes with seedlings. The same thing goes with setting your plans. It's really important. It's very important. From my experience, it's very important to know when to put these plants in the ground. It's very important. It's really, really important. Because sometimes, from my experience, right? Could only speak from my experience. I don't know. Do you ever experience planting a plant and this plant would not grow? It just stuck there. It would not get any bigger. It will not push an extra leaf. It just remain the same right there. Sometimes you put them in a little too early, and that's true. Sometimes, from my experience, it's a little too early. Certain plant, not every, and this is what I know I was saying, that you cannot finish long about plants. You could never finish long about plants. Why you could never finish long about plant? Because it's so much. Because this plant have his likeness, what it like. This plant have what it's like. Pay attention, guys. Don't give up on your seedlings. Don't give up on your plants. So sometimes you might plant them a little too early, and maybe the soil didn't thaw out the way it should, and the soil is still damp, and these plants prefer that warmness. You see, like cabbage, collard greens. Yep. You see, like cabbage, collard greens, cauliflower, strive. You see these type of plants? These type of plants, you could plant them early. You could plant them early. And if the weather is pretty cold, if the weather is cold, they're still gonna survive, but they're not gonna grow as fast as you would like them to. But they will survive. When the weather start heating up, that's when you see they start taking off. But they will survive. Now, if you put a pepper early, too early in the ground, it might survive. But I'm telling you, it will take a long time to take off. That pepper will remain there and it will not push an extra leaf. It will just remain right there. So you see different plants in the same situation give you different results. You see where I'm coming from? So the cabbage, the broccoli, the cauliflower, the strive, the beet, all these type of plants, if you plant them and the soil is still cold, they're gonna survive, but they're gonna grow slow. They're gonna push little leaf, they're gonna grow, but they're gonna grow very slow. You put a pepper, it ain't adding a leaf until that weather start warming up. That's when you start to see growth from it. So this is what I'm saying. Different plants, different situation, same situation, different result. That's why certain plant you it's better you wait until the frost pass. And still sometimes after the frost, you want to give it maybe an extra week after the frost before you plant because the soil is still and certain plant don't strive well in that cold temperature in the soil. That's my experience. And once I was able to understand these things, that's when I start seeing more success than I used to. So I know when to bring out my plant, my peppers. I know when to bring out my cabbage, my broccoli. I know when to do all these things in order for me to get success. If I plant cabbage in November, in October, November, most of them the stone does bolt. So I know 2 times I did that. I say, you know what? Let me try a fall garden, plant some brassica. And I tried a fall garden and it wasn't successful at all. They bolt and turn seed. I tried the following year, same result. So that tells me I need to plant them on a different date. If I plant them on February, they grow beautiful. They grow beautiful. Big cabbage, nice head of broccoli. So this is what I'm saying. You got to know in your area, your soil, your backyard, your container, your raised bed, you got to figure out which time is best for you to plant your plants. This is why I'm saying every year you're supposed to learn something because if you if you plant them a certain time and you ain't see no result, you don't please of the result. Like you switch. Maybe you plant them a little later. And I know growing season is short. So sometimes we really want to put them out there, but this is more success because if you put a plant in the ground and then the plant just keep growing, you're able to get way more out of that plant than if you put it there and put it there to struggle in that cold soil. Put it there. I'm not talking about a cabbage. Them is different. Like peppers, okra, these type of plants. You put them there for struggle for weeks. Then when the sun come, they now trying for push out back their roots. You understand? If you hold on a little, they might just plant them. They might just shoot, start running. So, like I now mentioned, guys, in your zone, in your garden, you have to see what is working for you. That's what you got to see. What is working for you? You try different things. Nothing wrong with trying different things. I tell you that. You try different things, and what works for you, that's where you push, you continue go at because it's working for you. Because I personally ain't trying to plant food and can't get no harvest. That's not my goal. That's not my plan. So I'm gonna do what I have to do to make sure I know when to plant these things that I can get the best out of them and the most out of them. So for me, I know I would not plant cabbage in the fall because I don't get great result. The best time for me to plant cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, these type of plants is February. And my harvest has been abundant. So I'm not gonna go and waste my time planting them in the fall, even I know that result. So this is my experience, guys. You have to learn from your experience as well, because at the end of the day, you're growing in your zone and you want the best out of what you're growing. All right. So I just want to say, guys, thank you all so much for coming out. Appreciate each and every one of you. This conversation is very much well needed, and because men, as we see, time has changed big time. Time has changed rapidly. Food prices getting on another level. Could you imagine? I don't eat eggs, but I'm hearing the price for eggs. I don't eat them, but I'm hearing the price for a dozen eggs. I'm here is not, and and I don't think it's gonna get any easier, guys. I don't think it's gonna get any easier. I think it's gonna get harder and harder. Then you see how much people losing their job on the regular. You see what's going on. So learning these skills, how to provide for your family in your garden, learning how to graft, learning how to start from seeds, learning all these things. I think it's very important because they are skills. And if you learn them, you could teach your children, you could teach your grandchildren at least. These skills could continue because it's a form of surviving. It's a form of how to feed your family. All right? So thank you guys. Thank you, Jim Mama. Thank you, Maria Bees. Thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys have a blessed and wonderful day. See you guys soon. Take care.